Carroll County Coalition's mission is to unite changemakers, build communities, and address mental health and substance use disorder. The Coalition is honored to share the stories of 3 local individuals whose lives have been impacted by drug use. You'll hear from Misty, a woman in her long-term recovery, Marcia, a mom who lost her son, and Dallas, a young man who's also in his recovery. As you watch and listen to their stories, please think about what red flags might be in your life that would put you at risk for dealing with this disease with no cure.
So, my name is Misty, and I am a mom, a sister, a daughter, a friend, a professional, an alumni from CHS, class of 1994, senior class president, and I am someone living in our community in long-term recovery from a drug addiction. I was 13 years old whenever I started using alcohol. I think that's pretty much what every kid, person underage starts using is alcohol. Had this desire to want to be cool and hang out with older people, and so went to a party, and I remember being at the party and everyone wondering why I was there. And then everybody wanted to give me alcohol, because here I was younger, and they wanted to get me drunk. And I didn't have any bad effects from, I had a pretty good time. It wasn't something I did on the regular. It was a year later that a lot of my drug and alcohol use really well, not drug use because that came much later. Alcohol use really picked up. I always ran around with people that used drugs and did for about 4 years before I finally used for the first time. I was 18. It was the second semester of high school. Was drunk and smoked weed for the first time, expecting that it was going to be this wonderful experience because my other friends had, smoked it already or telling me how wonderful it was, and the people I hung out with smoked it all the time, so it had to be something good about it if they're wanting to do it all the time. And it didn't work out that way for me. I got sick. I went home and blew chunks all over the hallway. I can remember the wallpaper that was hanging on the wall and just puking everywhere, and having to explain to my mom, that I was, she knew I drank some, but I was never punished like I probably should have been. But that didn't deter me from, wanting to do it again. So my thought was, okay, so I won't drink this time. I'm just going to smoke pot. And I did, and it was a very pleasant experience for me. And I don't say that to try to encourage you to go smoke pot because it wasn't a pleasant experience for me. But it just opened the door to, you get high for the first time, and here's the kicker about it all. You want that, you're chasing a high you will never have again. Like after you get high for the first time, you remember how good that felt because you'll never have a first high again, okay? So you keep chasing, like call it chasing the dragon, trying to chase something that you're never going to have again, So that's when you want to, okay, well, I need a different high. I want this to get better. So then you start using other drugs. So that summer, after I graduated high school, I used LSD for the first time. Used a form of meth and used cocaine. I got really sidetracked during that summer. Had been accepted to college at Stevens in Columbia, where I was going to study psychology. I forgot about all that because I got involved with the wrong people and I was doing the wrong things, and finally realized that I needed to get out of town. I knew I had a problem when I wanted to stop and couldn't. No, I didn't just one day say, today is a good day to become an addict. I've always wanted to be one because they're so wonderful. It started with a choice that I made, and I'm going to tell you that choice started at the age of 13 when I took that first drink. It wasn't the day that I smoked the joint for the first time. It wasn't the day, it wasn't the day I took the first opiate. It was the day that I took that first drink, and that was at the age of 13. And I didn't know that I was making the choice at that time to become an addict. I didn't know that. Had I known that, I don't think that I ever would have drank that drink. I think that we get so eager to grow up too fast and want to be a big person. And there's a reason why we can't make certain decisions until certain ages. And our brain is still developing, number one. So you're interrupting the development of your brain. I would not have made that choice if I would have known that that was going to lead to me becoming an addict. My thought process was I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to see my defeat. I didn't want to see the thing, feel and experience the things maybe I was doing wrong, or so I started using it again. And when you stop using for a good amount of time, it's just how we're made. I guess I hate to use the term addicts, but it's just how we're made. I could go pick up a drug today and start using it again like I never stopped. That's just how we are. So that's why we don't use, and that's why I'm preaching, don't do it at all. You don't know what you're inviting in. Why do you have to drink? And why do we have to use drugs anyway? What is its purpose? Is it truly serving at the end of the day? What is it doing for you? Is it getting you to the next best place in your life? Probably not. It may be making you popular with the guys. It may make you fit in with this group of people, but if you have to do that sort of thing to fit in with those kind of people, do you really want to be with those kind of people? I wasn't smart enough to make those connections whenever I was younger, and I really wish that somebody would have called me out on it. Well, I could be funny right now and say that the motto for I think Red Ribbon Week this year is be happy, be brave, be drug free. Honestly, if you really think about it, those are the things I would have told my younger self. Be brave. Be who you were created to be. Don't be afraid to stand apart from the world. Have the courage to love yourself enough to do what's best and right for you, and know that fitting in with these people or being accepted by this group is not that important. I would say, Misty, the choices that you make today are going to affect your tomorrow. I've lost friends. I have close friends who have died because of their addiction. So just living and being the best version of you is the best thing that you can do for yourself. It's the only gift you can give to yourself. If you are watching this and you know that your friend sitting next to you is struggling with drinking too much, you think it might be excess or starting to use drugs, please do not be afraid to confront that person or to go to a trusted adult, whether it be a teacher, a counselor, your parents, and talk to them. You may be what stops that dead in its tracks and save them from a life of hell and chaos and poor choices and decisions that, I can't go back and undo what I've done, okay? I'm going to keep moving forward. But I don't want anybody to have to live and make the same mistakes that I did to get to this place today, because you don't have to. And if you yourself are struggling, don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed. we serve a God that loves us very, very much. I just want you to know that whenever I stopped filling that hole in my heart with stuff and filled it with this love that was unconditional and this grace and mercy that was waiting for me, I had peace and I had love and I had healing. We can't get those things through substances and through behavior and what other people think and say about us. And lastly, I want to say that if you are a child of an addict, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Keep praying for your parent. My children's prayers saved my life. I know this. And there's no hope is ever lost, okay? No hope is ever lost. And I encourage you, if you are that child sitting in the class today, you need to talk to somebody about that stuff. You don't have to keep all that in either, okay? You didn't choose for your parent to be an addict and to make these poor choices and decisions. And feel there's somebody there that you can talk to, please do so.
Well, I'm here today to tell you about the pain a parent feels losing their child to addiction. It involves my son Michael, who at the age of 35 didn't wake up one morning. I'm not going into his colorful past, that's a whole other story, and I'm not here to go into his sober periods, his addicted periods. Sometimes loved ones lose addicts over and over again. Through misunderstanding, through geographical differences, through abandonment, through jail or prison, but you always have hope. Every empowered story shared is a chance to make someone feel that they are not alone in their human journey. This is why I'm choosing to make this a story of empowerment, even though tragic. In the midst of his death and the craziness surrounding it, my friend Misty came to me and said quietly and insistently, "Michael's death will change and save people's lives. It will, Marcia. He knew lots of people. It will." So I'm here today to talk about the pain a parent feels losing a child to addiction. It literally feels like an ache in your heart. Sorry. The dreaded news, the finality of knowing you couldn't save him. The finality, it hits you over and over and over again. The news came as a phone call at 7:30 a.m. from the people he was living with. Their first words were, "You need to come up here. He's gone. Please don't be mad at us." I was alone. I am hysterical. I run to the bathroom screaming and crying, turning on all the faucets in the shower and flushing the toilet over and over. I do all this so I don't wake up my 7-year-old grandson, Michael's son, who is asleep upstairs. Later, I marvel that I had the presence of mind to do this, to protect him from my cries. I marvel I can function at all. I call Michael's stepdad. We tell his son the news. He understands but doesn't, more like in shock, more crying. We drive around town telling immediate family. Then the phone calls start. There's that finality again, a phrase no parents wants to say aloud. Later, to add to the confusion, we have an autopsy report labeled accidental OD. But detectives who freely admit they suspect foul play. I spoke with the doctor, the coroner who prepared the autopsy. His reply to my questions, "Yes, we list all the drugs in a person's body. His was a massive dose of fentanyl, ma'am, not what you would normally call a recreational dose in one beer. That was it, no other drugs, not even marijuana, which was very unusual for my son. So unusual to be THC free, I asked if they were certain. No THC, they were. That's how we knew. My son was trying to stay clean. The police say we will never know the whole story. He was living in Kansas City, Missouri. We saw him frequently. And even though he hadn't been using, he either relapsed and used or someone did it for him. And he was associating with other addicts. He wasn't naive. He knew he wasn't living in a good situation and had recently spoke of moving from the city back home. but he didn't move, and the drugs got him either way, knowingly or unknowingly. As a mother, I grieve not only for the life cut short, but also for the life unlived. The life he dreamed of, the life we, his family, wanted him to live. We grieve for his son, who will have so few memories of his dad, none after the age of 7. And we just miss him. One year for Christmas, he was locked up in jail, and I got this card. To me, I'll read you the card. I forgot it's backwards. You might have to edit that. Mom, I have had so much time to focus on me, on us. I know I haven't been the perfect son. I hate the fact that I've broken your heart. I love you so much and want to make it up to you. I will do everything in my power to make you happy. Smiley face. Thank you for everything you have ever done for me. I owe you my life. Merry Christmas. Love, Michael. To me, the telling part of this card was him thanking me for everything you've done for me. I owe you my life. He knew the lengths that I had gone to help him. No one plans on growing up to be an addict. No one plans on overdosing or being overdosed by another addict. It's just easier to never start with the drugs. No one starts thinking they will become addicted. If you don't start, you won't have to go through the horrors of trying to get clean or possibly losing your life. It's been 4 years since my son died. The realization that he's gone still blindsides me some days. Please let our family's loss cause you to reflect on your choices. We miss him every day. I wasn't going to do this speech this time because I knew that it was going to be shown in the schools. And I have a grandson that attends a school in Carroll County. So I talked to Misty, and I talked to him about it. I didn't want anyone to make fun of him. He's barely old enough to know the whole story. And he didn't say much when we were talking. And then I told him what Misty had told me about saving lives. And I asked him to tell me a reason I should do this and a reason I shouldn't do this. So I thought if he says one reason why I shouldn't, I'm not yet, until he's older. And he said, there isn't a reason you shouldn't. It's like your friend said, it might save someone's life. So I want to thank him for being such a brave boy, Mr. M. Thank you.
My name is Dallas, and I am currently working for my family farm. I grew up in a small town 30 miles north of here, Hale, Missouri. I grew up, had 2 brothers, and both parents were in the home. It was like as a normal all-American family, and we grew up happy. It was a really happy childhood. There wasn't, there was no abuse, no any traumatic, it wasn't like that. And I grew up, like I said, I grew up with my brothers, and we grew up playing together, and I got really active into sports, and so I became very heavily involved in athletics throughout junior high and high school, and I was also very gifted academically. And so I ended up, I was the salutatorian of my graduating class at Hale in 2007, and I went to college on a baseball scholarship. I ended up going to Baker University on a baseball scholarship and played baseball there for Coach Hannon from Lexington. It was a really good experience. Really, the first mind-altering substance that I ever tried was nicotine. And I remember a lot of my friends that tried chewing tobacco, they would put a dip in and they would get dizzy and sick and throw up and not like that, and I put a dip of chew in and it made me dizzy, but I liked the dizzy, and so it wasn't but more than 1 or 2 times and I was hooked on that feeling and trying to chase that, and it's been that way with any substance I've ever encountered since then. The summer between my junior and senior year, I injured my neck, and I It happened while I was playing golf. I play golf for fun. It's a hobby of mine. And I had my neck, I pulled the muscles on one side of my neck. My head was stuck like this, basically. And of course, we played sports year round. And I also had a job. And so I wanted to be able to play in my Y-ball game that week. And so I came to the doctors to seek treatment for my neck and to see if there was anything I could do. And lo and behold, I was prescribed opioid pain pills. And I did not abuse this prescription, this particular one, but the first pain pill that I ever took, I knew immediately that I loved the way that it made me feel. And that I knew that, like, it felt like a solution for all my problems, for the way I felt. And so it killed my emotional pain along with the physical pain. Eventually it kills everything to where there's no good or bad emotions left. And my senior year, started going to parties on the weekend and started, just like almost all Americans, encountered alcohol and marijuana and dabbled in those things. They never did it for me the way that pain pills did, but it started with alcohol and progressed from there. I'd get drunk on Friday night or Saturday night, and a lot of people, like the what we call like the normies, they get drunk on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and they wake up Monday morning just fine and ready to go to work, and that wasn't the case for me. Monday morning I would not wake up, or I would need more, and so it didn't work out for me that way, and it just led me to finding other things. The consequences I faced were mental. They were self-made prison in my brain. The obsession and compulsion to use and find ways and means to use more just grew and grew to the point to where, like, I lived in autopilot mode. My only concern was with my next fix, and my only, that was all I could manage in a day, was finding ways and means to get more and use more. And I harmed the closest ones to me, like my family and people like that. And so, like, I had to learn how to regain their trust and how to learn, how to be able to have integrity again. Like, those are the consequences that I faced and that I still work on today. I will say, in my experience, I was the last person to know that I had a problem. Not even know that I had a problem, but it was the denial and delusion that I convinced myself to live through, the fogged lens of perspective in my eyes. I knew I liked them, but if anybody ever would have questioned me, I kept it secret for so long. Nobody knew for a very, very, very long time. Like, we're talking from the age of 17 to the age of 27, and it wasn't until I was 25, maybe 24, that my parents started realizing what was really going on. Like, I was that secretive about it and that quiet about it. The disease is antisocial in nature, which make detection, diagnosis, and treatment difficult. And so I was the last person to admit it, and it wasn't until the last year of my using, everybody in my family knew, and my parents still, like, they never gave up on me, and that's a big reason why I'm clean today, is because even if I wasn't willing to be honest with them and talk to them about it and be open with them, they never gave up on me, and they never threw me out or gave, they became more strict as far as enabling, because that is a big deal, but they never gave up or threw me out. And so for the last year of my using, every day I would go buy drugs and use drugs, and every night when I went to bed, I would say, I'm not doing this again tomorrow. And I meant it when I would say it, and then the next day, the first thing I'd do is the same thing over and over again, without being, like, when I talk about being on autopilot, or there's talk about using against your own will, and and it was miserable. It, like, took me to a place where I literally wanted to die. I knew I did not want to live the way I was living any longer. And I honestly was convinced that if I died, the people around me would be better off. My daughter and my parents and everybody would be better off, because I wouldn't be a burden to anybody. And so that's when I realized that I had a problem, and I realized that I needed to find help of some sort. My mom actually took me the Friday after Christmas in 2016. I'd been clean since December 16th, so I went through physical withdrawals. I said my primary drug of choice was opioid pain pills, and so I went through physical withdrawals for about 2 or 3 weeks in my parents' basement on my own, puking and all over myself, and then she took me to that meeting. She had found out about it, and we had found out about it, and that it was a good meeting. And so I had never experienced recovery of any. I had no idea what this program was about or any. I just knew I had to do something different than what I was doing, and so I went and went to this meeting the Friday after Christmas that year, and I met my eventual sponsor, and I still go to that meeting at least once a week. It meets on Tuesday and Fridays, and some, if I can make it twice a week, I do. But since that time, my first year of recovery, I spent in that meeting with those people, and after that, it was put upon my heart to start one in Carrollton, and so there's now a Thursday night meeting here in town that can be attended. And it's open, actually. It's an open meeting, so you don't even have to be an addict to come and see what we're about. And as much effort as I put into using drugs, I need to put at least that effort into staying clean for me to be successful and have a recovery. That's what it takes for me. And so it's a big commitment of time and things, and it's with a family and a job, like balancing it does become difficult. But if I don't go to those meetings and if I don't stay clean, there is no family and there is no job and there is no life. So it becomes a pretty easy choice when I look at it that way. But that's how I found recovery.